What kind of person straps themselves to a plane mid-flight, rides a motorcycle off a 4,000-foot cliff, or holds their breath underwater for 6 minutes and calls it just another day at work? One name, Tom Cruise. Over nearly 3 decades, Cruise has transformed the Mission Impossible franchise into a living museum of record-breaking, bone-risking stunts. And here's the twist. He does them all himself. No stunt double, no green screen magic. Today, we're counting down the most jaw-dropping, pulse-pounding moments from Cruise's career as Hollywood's ultimate daredevil. The CIA Vault Descent, Mission Impossible, 1996. In the very first Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise gave audiences a taste of what would become his career trademark, performing his own death-defying stunts. The CIA vault scene, where Ethan Hunt is lowered by a cable from the ceiling, might look simple compared to his later feats, but it required extreme precision and physical control. Cruise trained to keep his body perfectly horizontal to avoid triggering pressure sensors on the floor. The set was so quiet you could hear his breathing, and he even placed coins in his shoes to counterbalance his body. One wrong move, and the scene would fail. This wasn't just a tense cinematic moment, it was the birth of Cruise's I'll-do-it-myself stunt philosophy. Rock climbing at Dead Horse Point, Mission Impossible 2, 2000. For NI2, director John Woo wanted an opening that screamed danger, and Cruise delivered. Hanging from a sheer cliff at Dead Horse Point in Utah, he performed real free-climbing moves with only a hidden safety harness. At one point, he leaped from one rock face to another, tearing a shoulder tendon in the process. Most actors would have called it a day, but Cruise insisted on finishing the climb. The final shot shows him dangling over a 2,000-foot drop, with the wind tearing at his clothes. A real, unfiltered moment that left audiences gasping. Shanghai Skyscraper Swing, Mission Impossible II, 2006. In the third installment, Cruise added aerial swings to his stunt repertoire. For a sequence in Shanghai, he sprinted across a rooftop and jumped, attached to a cable, between 2 skyscrapers. The stunt team calculated his swing trajectory down to inches, as even a slight miscalculation could have slammed him into steel. Filming required multiple takes, and each jump meant enduring strong wind shear at height. While MI3 relied more on story-driven action, this stunt reminded audiences that Cruise's commitment to realism was not going anywhere. Scaling the Burj Khalifa Ghost Protocol, 2011. Perhaps the most famous stunt of Cruise's career, scaling the Burj Khalifa remains a pinnacle of action filmmaking. At over 2,700 feet tall, it's the tallest building in the world. Cruise trained with professional climbers and wore a specially designed harness that allowed him to cling to glass panels at dizzying heights. The sequence required him to run along the building's side and leap between open windows, all while suspended thousands of feet above Dubai. Even the safety team admitted their own fear, with winds threatening to swing him like a pendulum. Watching Cruise calmly dangle outside the 123rd floor redefined what movie stunt meant. 6-minute underwater hold, Rogue Nation, 2015. For a key sequence in Rogue Nation, Cruise insisted on doing an extended underwater scene without cuts. He trained with freediving experts to hold his breath for over 6 minutes, longer than most professional divers. The set was an underwater chamber filled with moving machinery, which meant one mistake could lead to disaster. He rehearsed until he could complete the entire sequence in a single take, calmly maneuvering underwater while his lungs screamed for air. The final shot immerses viewers in Hunt's desperation, precisely because it's not faked. The AHLO jump, Fallout, 2018. High-altitude, low-opening jumps are usually reserved for military special forces, but Cruise became the first actor to perform one on film. Jumping from 25,000 feet out of a Boeing C-17, he plunged through thin, freezing air at over 200 miles per hour before deploying his chute just 2,000 feet above the ground. The stunt required a custom helmet that supplied oxygen, but still allowed his face to be filmed. He repeated the jump over 100 times to get the perfect shot with the right lighting. It wasn't just a stunt. It was a world-class skydiving achievement captured on film. Helicopter chase and rope climb, Fallout 2018. Not satisfied with one record-setting stunt in Fallout, Cruise learned to fly a helicopter just for the film. Within weeks, he was performing complex aerial maneuvers over narrow mountain passes. In one sequence, he hangs from a rope beneath a moving helicopter, then climbs up into the cockpit mid-flight. No visual effects here, just a helicopter, a rope, and an actor willing to risk his life for cinematic authenticity. Director Christopher McQuarrie admitted, "We were all terrified, except Tom." Motorcycle cliff jump, Dead Reckoning Part 1, 2023. This stunt, which was filmed on the very first day of production, became an immediate superstar. Cruise travels on a motorcycle up a ramp that is located on a cliff in Norway, launches himself into the air, and then free falls before releasing his parachute over a drop of 4,000 feet. Before attempting the leap for the first time, he had practiced it on dirt tracks more than 500 times. Despite the fact that the motorcycle was damaged with each jump, Cruise completed the feat 6 times to guarantee that they recorded every available viewpoint. Hearing the crew collectively gasp each time is something that can be heard when watching the raw tape. Biplane wing walking at 8,000 feet, The Final Reckoning, 2025. At an altitude of 8,000 feet, Tom Cruise hooked himself to the wing of a historic biplane in order to perform what is being dubbed as the most perilous stunt that the franchise has ever attempted. While he was flying in winds of 140 miles per hour, with a camera setup that weighed 50 pounds strapped to his body, he crawled along the wing before trying to climb back into the cockpit. Because the oxygen levels at that height were low, he had to take moments to breathe in between takes in order to avoid getting sick. Never before has any other major star done anything even vaguely comparable. This is a combination of stunt and aviation history. Flaming parachute jumps, Guinness World Record, 2025. According to the Guinness World Records, Tom Cruise set a new record for the most flaming parachute jumps ever accomplished by performing 16 parachute jumps while his canopy was put on fire. This was in addition to the biplane sequence, which was already impressive. In order to perform the trick, a fuel-soaked parachute was ignited in the middle of the air, then it was discarded, and a backup chute was deployed before the parachute reached the ground. The timing had to be split-second accurate, and it demanded perfect precision. This record could have been a catastrophe if Cruise had made any kind of mistake, but the discipline and training that he put into it made it one of the achievements of his career. Tom Cruise hasn't just played Ethan Hunt, he's lived the role. Every stunt, every leap, every impossible mission has been a testament to his relentless pursuit of realism. In an era where most action stars rely on green screens, Cruise reminds us of the thrill of seeing something truly real. No tricks, no safety net, just pure cinematic bravery. Whether he's scaling skyscrapers, diving from the edge of space, or lighting parachutes on fire, one thing is certain: the mission isn't over until Tom Cruise says so. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's boldest stunts, hit like, subscribe for more, and remember, your next mission is just one play button away.